The Converted Man here.
It's the Converted Man.
The Converted Man here.
Bismillah. The most important questions that we should be thinking about as humans. Did we exist by chance? Is there a God? And where did we come from?
Well, that's some interesting questions you have there. Where did we come from? You mean humans? Did we exist by chance? That's kind of not really a question the way that it's formatted. And is there a God? Well, where did we come from? If by we you mean humans, we came from lower life forms, different primates, and then there's this chain going back via evolutionary biology that you can go way, way, way back, and eventually we're just amino acids. And where those came from, well, they were present on the planet, or they might have been some on the planet, and others might have been delivered here by meteorites. There's a number of different possibilities for that one. This is a malformed question, but if you mean, again, we, as in humans, then the answer is, by and large, yes. There would only be a potential one counterexample, and that would be a test tube baby where you have the scientist directly injecting the egg with just one sperm, so they know which one is fertilizing the egg. Otherwise, we have no idea. There's no control over what sperm's going to fertilize the egg. It's completely and utterly by chance. So, if that's what you mean, then the answer is, by and large, yes, with only one potential counterexample. If you mean something else, then it depends what you mean, and it could be anything from no to it depends to maybe it is, and it really just depends because you're using vague terminology here. This last question is one that I cannot answer because the word God itself, as far as I'm aware, has no logically coherent epistemological definition for it. So the only answer I can give is I don't know or probably not. There's a lot of no's depending on what God you're talking about, and if we're going to narrow it down to particular gods, I could say no about that particular god because there's something logically contradictive about the attributes assigned to it, or there's just an overwhelming lack of evidence for it, or there's reasons to be skeptical of it, and since there are reasons to be skeptical of it, I'm going to say no until I don't have reasons to be skeptical about it. God, the concept, certainly exists inside of people's brains, but until we can show that it exists anywhere else, it seems to me reasonable to assume that that's the only place that it exists.
It's either that we have came from nothing, or we created ourselves, or something else have created us.
Okay, now you're getting into the logical fallacies of equivocation as well as a false trichotomy. We, meaning again humans, or meaning something else? We came from nothing. Well, no, humans didn't come from nothing. We, humans, created ourselves. Well, no, our parents created us. Learn basic biology.
As far as whether we came from nothing, that violated the laws of physics and the law of conservation of energy.
And this is again where the equivocation comes in. You're showing pictures of people, but you're not really talking about people. If you were talking about people, then I would agree. We can't come from a nothing for two reasons. One, nothing, as far as we know, doesn't really exist other than a word that we have defined. Secondly, we don't work that way. We need biological parents to create biological offspring. But you don't mean we as in people, even though you're showing people. Well, now you're showing some sort of atom or molecule of some sort.
Nothing comes from nothing, and something always comes from something else.
It is an ancient philosophical idea that nothing comes from nothing. but it is not a scientific one because we have never observed or found a true nothing. So we can literally say nothing about nothing. We've defined nothing as a word, but simply because we give something a definition doesn't mean that it actually exists in reality. Until we have an example of nothing, we can't say anything about nothing. And I'm going to make you stick to the second thing that you said. Something always comes from something else.
Did we create ourselves? It's like that we're saying that we exist and don't exist in the same time. Or it's like saying that our mothers have given birth to themselves.
So you don't understand basic biology. We come from our parents. Okay, moving on.
Do you know that the age of our universe is 13 billion years?
Well, it's 13.82 billion years, but yeah, that's pretty darn good. You got that right for the most part.
But the time it takes to create one simple human protein by chance, 634 million billion years.
Can you give me a citation for that there? That little nugget of information? No? No citation? Yeah. So I'm going to call bull on that until you give me a peer-reviewed, scientific, published paper that agrees with what you just said.
That's the age of our universe multiplied by 45 millions. And you still think you came by chance?
No, I don't, because that's not how biological evolution works, and that's not how cosmology works. So no, times 2. But this is, oh, it's chance, it's chance, it's chance. And if it is chance, okay. I'm going to accept reality, whatever reality happens to be. And it doesn't matter how big the number is, or how unusual it is, or how phenomenally great it is, or how fantastic it is, or how it just doesn't make sense to us. Whatever the truth is the truth. So, I don't know as far as the universe forming the planets, what the likelihood of that was, if there is even such a thing as a likelihood, nor do I know the likelihood of the vast number of planets having the right amount of chemicals to formulate life of some sort. Again, even if that is such a thing that one could calculate. But whatever those numbers are, and whoever is calculating them, needs to provide the system that they used to get those numbers, and then show why it matters at all, and then show that there's any other number that isn't 1 in a whatever the big number is. Because as long as you have 1, you still have a chance. It's not impossible, so it still happens. You know, you don't have a good chance of surviving an airplane crash, but it can happen. So, what's your point here? And you still don't have a citation for that number, so I still don't believe it.
Do you know that human beings are made out of 18.5% carbon, 3.3% nitrogen, 9.5% hydrogen, and 65% oxygen?
You were right on the last one. I'm not going to bother to Google it. Screw it.
For an average human being, that's about 14 gallons of water, 26 pounds of charcoal, and 3 pounds of air. If we pour all that in one bag, for how many years do we need to shake this bag to come up with a human being?
That's the stupidest thing ever. Because that's not how it works. We're not talking about charcoal. If you break anything down into its base components and shake it up, it's very unlikely that it's gonna get back into place. It's just not how it works. That's not how things work. This is the old, if I put a broken clock in the drawer and I shake it up enough, it's not going to reform into a clock argument. which isn't an argument. It's just plain stupid. Okay? Biological evolution has a certain system to it, to which it got us from very simple-celled organisms to where we are today. And it had nothing to do with placing things in a bag and just shaking it up. That analogy fails on every conceivable level that it could fail, and it is akin to, why doesn't it, when I open a peanut butter jar, that life just jump out of it sort of thing. It's stupid. Cut it out.
And you still think you came by chance?
Basically, yes, because the sperm, this chance, and the whatever. See, you're equivocating so many times with what you mean by humans versus now you're talking about the universe, then you're talking about the unlikelihood that protein would be formed and give no citation for that. But really, you're strawmanning my position. I don't know. If you're asking where all of this came from, not just humans, because I have the answer for humans, biological evolution. If you're asking for where everything came from, or I don't have an answer to that. I don't even know if there is an answer to that. Sometimes the answer is, I don't know. But would I say it could be chance? Yeah, sure, it can be chance, and it doesn't bother me if it is chance. Moving on.
With all the current technology that we have, we were not able to create a robot that is as perfect and as sophisticated as a human being.
Well, first and foremost, I disagree with the idea that humans are perfect in any way, shape, or form. Secondly, we have created very sophisticated robots and close to androids that can do marvelous things, and we're getting closer to artificial intelligence all the time. So this argument will vaporize into nothingness the moment that we create a human-like android with an artificial intelligence. Because that will be able to survive in more places than a human could, it will be able to do more things than a human could, and it would have a capacity for learning and understand better than a human could. It would be better in every conceivable way that it could be better. Of course, better could be subjective, I suppose, but if we were going to design the human body from the base up, I wouldn't build it this way. This is an inefficient machine. This is not well constructed. There's multiple points where it can break and multiple things that can fail inside of it. It is not well designed if it was designed. But it wasn't designed. It's a product of biological evolution. At least our bodies are. Androids and robots are a different matter. But just because we can't do it yet doesn't mean we'll never be able to do it. And the day that we can, this stupid argument will die.
With all the technology that we have, we were not able to create a camera closer to the human eye, 576 pixels.
And this is an outright lie. Now, the human eye has around, let's see, 576 megapixels, but a 50 gigapixel camera is actually better than the human eye because it has more resolution, it can do panorama, which is something our eyes cannot do, and it has better than 20/20 vision, quote unquote. And this is just one camera made in Duke University and the University of Arizona. This is a camera that I found with just a simple Google search. Now, camera better than human eye. One article says, well, we're not quite there yet. This article says this camera is basically better than a human eye. Okay, so I've got conflicting sources here. But, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is bull. Basically, we can make cameras that can see X-rays, infrared, and all sorts of different color spectrums and wavelengths that we can't see. So it's nonsensical. Also, it's irrelevant because the amount of storage that it would take to store that much gigapixels is vast. You simply don't need that much information. The eye is overworked. It's overly complicated. You don't need that much storage, and you don't need to have that many pixels to have a clear picture. And we don't have a clear picture even though we have that many pixels. In fact, the only reason why we have that many is because it's a very, very small dot in the back of the eye that captures the entire image upside down, which then our brain needs to flip right side up. An extra step that could go wrong. So we would never make a camera as bad as the eye. But we've made cameras that are essentially better than the human eye. So outright lie.
With all the technology that we have, we were not able to create a heart closer to the human heart that could pump 7,200 liters of blood daily without any complications.
And you're wrong again. We're actually growing human hearts even as we speak. So no, we're able to do this now. So you're wrong. Sorry.
With all the technology that we have, we're not able to create kidneys that could work 24/7, filtering 180 liters of blood daily.
Irrelevant, and actually this too is being worked on.
And cleaning human blood from toxins continuously. And you still think you came by chance?
And this is completely and utterly irrelevant. Simply because humans can't create certain things does not mean that those things came about by chance. Now here's what this guy and people like him are going to do the moment that we're able to make these things on our own. They're going to say, well, see, it required an intelligence to make them. Ha 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 ha. Moving on.
Or something else have created you.
Yeah, like your mom and dad? Oh, wait, he's still not talking about that. He's talking about something else, even though it seems like that he's talking about that.
A creator that once said, يا أيها الناس ضرب مثل فاستمعوا له إن الذين تدعون من دون الله لن يخلقوا ذبابا ولو اجتمعوا له. O people, listen to this example. You are not able to create one single fly, even if all of you united for this purpose. A creator that once said, ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت. You will not see faults in the creation of the most merciful. A creator that's all-powerful.
Well, see, you had me agreeing with the creator that once said blah, and then the creator that once said blah. I'm not going to even try to pronounce those foreign words. Because, yeah, a human creator probably said that and probably wrote it down. Or a different human wrote it down after somebody said it. And they were both creators because they're humans, and humans create stuff. But the moment that you said all-powerful, you went off script, and I can't agree with the idea that any human is all-powerful. But, of course, by creator, you don't mean human anymore, even though that's the only creative thing, other than some animals can create stuff, that we know about. So, what proof do you have that this thing has all the power that there is, and that this thing has written anything at all?
A creator that's all-knowing.
And once again, how do you know that? Where do you get this information from?
A creator that unlike his creation. Allah, the Lord of Jesus, Moses, and Muhammad.
Now, how do you know that this creator is unlike its creation, and how do you know that it's over these people, especially since Jesus can't be confirmed? Moses most likely was completely made up. Muhammad, you know, I actually haven't researched Muhammad, so I'm going to be skeptical about Muhammad until somebody shows me enough historical documents that are outside of the Quran for me to not be skeptical that Muhammad exists.
If someone have given you $1 million, you be thankful for him for the rest of your life.
I'm not sure where this red herring is going, but yeah, I guess I would be grateful if somebody gave me that amount of money, even though after taxes it would be less, but still it'd be a good sum of money to get. Do you have $1 million to give me? I'd sure welcome $1 million. Heck, I'd welcome $1,000.
But what about the one who have given you blessings that worth millions.
The blessings? What the bleep is a blessing? And how is it worth millions? You mean millions of dollars? Well, how do I exchange these blessings for money then? I'd be grateful then if I could do that. But I don't even know what the bleep a blessing is. What bank exchanges blessings for money? I need more info. The video ends there. That's it. Alright, so we don't have empirical evidence of any sort. The one thing that this video producer said that he could have maybe given us a link to was the, it takes by chance, whatever that big giant number was. No peer-reviewed publication from a scientist that is reputable at all linked, period. So no evidence, no test at all, and a misunderstanding and or mishandling of science in general. And last but not least, we don't have a logically coherent argument. And unless and until we have a logically coherent argument, we must continue to be skeptical of the conclusions. And now I'm going to draw Muhammad using white colors on a white piece of paper. Yep, there it is. White Muhammad on white paper. Vile, disgusting, despicable, awful, horrible. I'm gonna get it for this, for sure. Please, somebody protect me. I'm afraid. I'm so afraid.